I always tell people every interview I do, I age a year, right? So it's like I'm 19, right? But if you look at the 200 plus interviews I've done with world-class people, anyone from Larry King, who's 87 years old, like the wisdom and the conversations I've had with these people, like it's given me I wouldn't say an advantage, but just so many different perspectives on the world that you can only get through experience, right? So I cut my learning curve so much when it comes to my worldviews and how I think about life and how I look at my future in business and relationships, and I'm grateful for it.
What up, guys? Jeff Discher here, and you're in for a real treat today on There's a Difference. Let's go see what we have today. Welcome back. Jeff Discher here with another episode of There's a Difference podcast, where I bring people in, sit them down, and get real with them. And my whole goal is to find people that disrupt markets, that make a difference, that stand out. I try to do it here in real estate and with my marketing. And again, I try to find people, bring them on, and see why they're different, how they're different, and what they've done to become different and disrupt their space. So today, I probably have on I do have on, no offense to anyone else, probably one of my biggest guests so far. I'm stoked. He's helped me get to this point in some aspect of it, and helped me build my podcast up and get some of the other bigger names. But I don't want to ramble on. The guy, he just had Rick Ross. He's had Larry King. He had Elon Musk's mother on. He's had, the list goes on. Robert Greene. It's where I'm going to get to in the next 20, 30 years. But without further ado, I'll let him tell about Casey Adams, my man.
Thanks so much for having me on, man. It's my pleasure.
Of course, dude. This is nothing new to you, but I'm
love
excited
The Office,
to
by the way. Thanks for the tour.
Thank you, bro. We've done a bunch of video conferences and stuff, and I told you about it, but you can't really. It's funny because even when I put it out there, people don't really get the feel for it in a sense until they're here. It looks dope.
100%.
But people get here and they're like, dude.
Yeah, you're telling me about it. You're like, you gotta check out The Office.
Yeah,
so you got
bro.
the 6th studio. And now I'm here. I'm like, this is tight.
It's dope, right? But even in pictures and stuff and videos, people are like, dude, it doesn't do it justice.
Yeah.
Once I got here, it's way better.
Yep.
So, you're in San Diego, man. Where you living these days?
Scottsdale, Arizona. I've been out there for the past, almost 2 years now. I'm from Richmond, Virginia. Grew up there. Didn't ever really go to the West Coast until I was 16 and could, go out there for myself and everything I'm doing business-wise. But Scottsdale's been good. It's just really hot in the summer, so that's why, pop out here to San Diego for the week.
Well, it's funny
because
we call them zonies. Like, I'm
yeah.
raised here, but they said the zonies during the summer come out here because it's so hot there. Yep. They bounce out here. I think probably 40% of the beach is owned by people from Arizona.
Really?
Yeah, it's second home.
It's funny you say that. Dave Meltzer said the same thing. He was like, yeah, all of his neighbors are zonies.
Yeah, they're zonies. It's funny because back in the day when they would open up the beach for big event, like for 4th of July, which you can't drink on the beach anymore. So it kind of messed it up. Big crazy fights and stuff. But back then it would be all the San Diegans would be like, fucking zonies are coming in here and taking over, dude. But no, I definitely get it. But Scottsdale's dope. Yep. Really, do you like San Diego?
I love it. This was actually the first place. San Diego has a special place in my heart. It was the first event I ever spoke at. It was called the Epic Mastermind Experience. I came out here. It was the first weekend in 2017 in January. And Caleb Maddox, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's one of my good friends. He invited me to speak at this event. I came out here, spoke for 15 minutes about Snapchat marketing, affiliate marketing. It was at that event that I connected with Dan Fleshman and Gerard Adams and all these different people that I was following on social media at the time. But my dad and I came out here for literally 2 nights. I missed a Friday of school. We were here Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was in that moment and during that event, I got back in Virginia. I sent Ty Lopez a DM and I was like, hey Ty, I just spoke at an event in San Diego with Gerard and Dan. I just wanted to say that thanks so much for helping me get involved with everything I'm doing social media wise. And long story short, 2 weeks later he flew me out to LA. So I always, whenever I talk about San Diego, it has such a special place in my heart because it's where I found momentum. It was like the first time I ever went out to the West Coast, first time I was in California. And from that first event, it was just momentum. So I got love for San Diego.
Nice. Yeah, it's a dope city, dude. I'll see. I'm born and raised, take it for granted sometimes, but it's funny you mentioned Ty because he's one of obviously the originators of all that funnel crap.
Yeah.
But he's always down in San Diego. It's funny. I always see him. I'm like, I was just there when he was with his grandma and stuff.
Yep.
So that's dope.
Absolutely.
So one thing I already heard that I like is obviously Richmond, Virginia. You're from, I wouldn't call it a small town. But,
yeah, well, I'm like 20 minutes, 25 minutes south. I just say it's called Chesterfield, Virginia. Like
so
that's
that
where I'm
makes it
from.
more interesting. Because
I say Richmond, I feel like because no one would know what Chesterfield County is.
a lot of people do that, or it's a Bay Area because
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
totally.
No, but it's cool because people expect people that are making it or succeeding or disrupting. They expect them to be from some big city or big.
Yeah.
But when people come out of these like little towns and
Totally.
stuff, it's insane. And I think that it gives people obviously hope.
Yep.
Like that's my whole thing is because I grew up super poor and stuff in a trailer park, but that's my whole thing is giving people hope now.
Yeah.
So, look, dude, I grew up like this.
100%.
You can do some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't know anyone growing up that moved out of my hometown. So like when you talk about hope, like even just looking back on like where I am now, living in Scottsdale, like, coming to San Diego for the week. Like I was on the phone with my mom 2 days ago. It was her birthday, and I was just like, it's so crazy that I've built this life of I'm living in Scottsdale, Arizona. I've been out there for 2 years. I'm casually just doing a road trip to San Diego to like kick it out there for the week. And it makes me reflect on like where I'm from and like how Richmond, Virginia, Chesterfield County like built my morals. Cause it's like, I still, I have those beliefs in my mind, but just the last 4 years of like doing my thing, it's been cool to see like what's out there. So I'm grateful for it.
That's dope, dude. When you go back to the town you're from, is it different? Do people know who you are now? I mean, not that they didn't before, but do they know that you're like doing all your thing?
I would say a lot. Like, everyone knows everyone. Like it's so funny. My mom, one time she was at this grocery store and it was like Denise Adams, and she saw that he had like my Manchester high school t-shirt on, and she was like, oh, like you go to Manchester? Like I have 3 sons that went there, Cody, Cameron, and Casey. And he was like, your son's Casey Adams? Oh my God, I listen to his podcast all the time. And I wouldn't say like I'm recognized at all in my hometown, but there's definitely like a lot of love and people that love what I'm doing and listen to the show. And I have 2 brothers that work at a restaurant. Whenever I go in there, it's like so friendly and so loving, but it's cool.
It's cool. The thing is,
it's a good time.
Really cool because you are from a smaller town that everyone knows. Like if you came from LA or something, then
Yeah.
you'd be like,
Yeah.
Like, not that there's but you'd be like, well, I don't really know that dude. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's so many people that are kind of coming out of there. But to come from that and then go back, it's kind of dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's funny because like as I've like speaking on the podcast, like as I've interviewed more like well-known people, like people back home, they they catch up and start to get it. They're like, oh, Rick Ross, like, what's up, bro? Like, I haven't talked in a while, right?
Yes.
So I think it's so funny because like no one knows what you're doing until you do it, right? Like I like to, like, for example, Rick Ross, right? I just posted it one morning. I was like, all right, I didn't like lead it up and do any marketing for the show. I didn't tell people I was gonna do it. I just put it out there.
Yeah.
I just drop it. And I think that's what I love about social media is like you can make moves in silence and then just, showcase what you've been working on. And I think, I like to inspire a lot of people from my hometown, and I get a lot of DMs from even like younger kids that are my age that are from a small town. And I think that's what inspires me to put out all the content and everything.
Well, it's cool that you're diverse. So that's my whole thing. Is I want to bring on so many different diverse. And like
Yeah.
you said, you could bring on Robert Greene, all these people, and maybe a lot of people don't resonate. They're like, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
I know who it is. And
Yeah,
like, people
totally.
in my thing are like, "That shit's dope, dude." Robert Greene, like fucking. And then you drop a Rick Ross, which is completely on the other side of the spectrum, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, you're cracking now." You're like,
Yeah.
"Dude, I brought on, like, I've had a Larry King, like, I
Yeah.
had this, like, what are you talking about?" But people hear that, and they're like, "Oh, now you're the man,"
Yeah.
because they resonate with that.
It's so funny because it's like mainstream hip hop culture. I think is like I want to interview DJ Khaled and Wiz Khalifa and Drake and all these like massive hip hop icons because A, I'm a huge hip hop fan, but B, like hip hop culture is massive and everyone understands it. Like they're like, those are the stars, right? In terms of like musicians and actors. So it's funny when I was talking to Larry King, he's like, I just want to have conversations with people I'm curious about. So for me, like a lot of people, I'll get, hundreds of emails a month, like asking to be on my show. And like, they're great people, I'm sure, with great stories. But if I don't have like this burning fire sensation of like, I'm curious about that person and I really want to get to know them and I see value in that, like, I don't want to waste each other's time, right? Like for me, and I think something that Larry King really instilled in me is like, let your curiosity do the talking, right? Like don't force an interview. Don't force a conversation. Like do it because you want to have the conversation, because I totally see myself interviewing people for the rest of my life. And after talking with Larry, it only reassured that and how I'm thinking about it.
Well, when I used to do, I'm trying to drop plugs for myself. When I used to do that show on ESPN, that people would be like, oh, I'm like, the funnest part about it is like, I get to use this $1 billion platform to find people that I'm curious about. Like you said, like a lot of people would come at me on that. and they want the credibility and all that. But I'm like, no, like it was my opportunity, my door, oh, I want to interview that dude. I want to talk to that dude. So I would just send something to him.
100%.
And it was my opportunity to do it. But you can literally pick people that you're interested in, that you like I don't know, just say your favorite rapper was Rick Ross. Now you have a platform and a credibility to be like, Rick Ross, what up? And then you can chop them down. So
and I think that's the beautiful thing about podcasting. And like I love podcasting because it allows you to have conversations with people for obviously a value-driven perspective of, hey, this is going to go out to an audience. But for me, it's always been about relationships. Like I've interviewed just the last, 40 days, over 45 people every single day I've been putting out a show. And it's like, when I need to, whether that's raise capital or have this strategic relationship for this deal or this opportunity, like I have so many quality people. And I made a moral obligation to myself when I was 16. I said for the next, 5 years or for the next, until I'm 21, I want to go all in on just having the most world-class network to set myself up for my future. Because I know a lot of young people where it's, yes, everyone's money driven at the end of the day, like we all need to make money, but what you can do with relationships is so valuable, and you can't pay for them, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, you can hire a coach or hire a mentor, but true, genuine relationships with people, there's no shortcuts. Like you have to put in the work and actually take the time to build it. And that's what I like to say, what I've been doing in the podcast is the vehicle for that. And I highly recommend, if people are listening to this, start a podcast if you are curious in others and you want to build your network. Utilize it for that purpose. Don't do it because you want to have the biggest show or get the most listens. Like do it if you're curious in someone and you want to communicate. And I think, what you're doing, then this is this cool vibe. Like we wouldn't be doing this otherwise, right? Like we could chat on FaceTime, we could link up, get coffee, do whatever, but having a podcast bridges the gap and allows you to really build with someone.
And that's why, it was funny because one of our first talks, you told me, you said, dudes like working with dudes like you were easier because you've already done the money thing, you've done the business stuff.
Yeah.
Now I know you can actually have real conversations because to be honest, I'm not trying to get anything out of it versus rather than just talk to someone cool, ask them some cool questions, and spread the word. You know what I mean? I'm not making any money off this. And that's, for me, it's more of a fun thing. You know what I mean? So the conversations are different. I get to sit people down, ask questions. And for you, man, it's cool because you just say you 45 people in the last 40 days. It's almost like you read 45 books.
100%.
Right? On these people, you can ask them, or it's like watching a YouTube channel of someone and skipping or stopping and ask them a question directly on the screen. That's what you're doing. You're basically finding people on YouTube that you like, and hey, what up, bro? Come on my podcast. Cool. All right, done. Now I get to fuck the videos I get to watch. Ask them.
Exactly. I always tell people every interview I do, I age a year, right? So it's like I'm 19, right? But if you look at the 200 plus interviews I've done with world-class people, anyone from Larry King, who's 87 years old, the wisdom and the conversations I've had with these people, it's given me, I wouldn't say an advantage, but just so many different perspectives on the world that you can only get through experience, right? So I cut my learning curve so much when it comes to my worldviews and how I think about life and how I look at my future and business and relationships, and I'm grateful for it.
It gives you, it was 4 years ago, man. I've always read in books and stuff. If you ever travel the world, go to different countries, learn people's different culture, it'll give you a whole different perspective.
Absolutely.
And you'll just be different. And I was scared to fly over water, but finally.
Really?
Yeah, bro. I don't know. For some reason, I'm like, dude, if this thing goes down, at least on land, we can look for a freeway. Then I'm going to try to park it or land it. But I'm like, on water, I don't know about that. You want to find an aircraft carrier? But I finally was like, fuck, dude. I was just like, dude, I was kind of had this weird space where I was doing well and everything, but I just kind of felt like something was missing.
Yeah.
I booked a one-way airline ticket to London.
Wow. And
it was like you said, or everyone said though, you're saying with these people, when I traveled for 30 days with the backpack just to different cities, and I would just jump on with technology. I would jump on my laptop. That's why I would backpack a few things of clothes and my laptop, and I would just jump on a coffee shop and be like, where do I want to go next? Here, boom.
That's so
plane
sick.
Or flight.
Yeah.
But meeting people and doing all that, after I did that for 30 days, I came back, and it was so true. It's hard to put into words, but like you're saying, perspective is a great word, a descriptive word, but it's hard to, when I got back, I was like, oh, it just gave me this whole different perspective of the whole world. You know what I mean? Of the culture, of just the way we see people, because most people live in these little bubbles. You know what I mean? They don't understand but for you to be able to talk to it's funny because Gary Vee says that. He's like, you want perspective, go sit at a senior home for a day and listen to the old cats. They'll tell you, they'll be real as fuck, first of all. They don't give a shit. They're about to die. You know what I mean? They're going to keep it real. They're going to tell you the truth, and you can really see what life's about. And so what you're doing, traveling around, and the cool thing and the added bonus which for you of what you're doing, man, that's insane, is it's people who have pinnacled. These are people that have that have we all know for a reason or another, but they've done something so spectacular in some way or another, and you get to sit there and find common threads. That's one thing I like bringing people on here with the difference, is because I'm always looking for the difference, and then I find common threads.
Yeah.
And one of them we found that I found for probably everyone is when I stopped caring about the money, and I already heard you say it, it's more about just helping or relationships or just getting to know and help people and learn. That's when they started leveling up.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? And
100%.
what let's kind of switch it now and talk about more about business. Dude, I know you have your podcast, Rise of the Young. Is that your biggest platform, would you say?
I would say so, social media wise, yeah. In terms
Social
of my
media,
voice.
yes.
In terms of how I'm communicating with my audience, I look at it I built an Instagram, that is my go-to platform of relationships and content. There's the podcast, and I'm everywhere, right? I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, I'm on TikTok, I've been doing a lot with, but Instagram and podcasting have been my two focused vehicles, because the system is, hey, connect with people in the DMs on Instagram, have them on the podcast, build relationships, do business with them, whether that's doing a client business, which is TikTok management, or helping with content strategy or whatever it is. But that's the funnel, right? For me, I've never wanted to sell to my audience, because I understand the longevity of my brand and how Gary Vee always talks about, for jab, 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 right hook.
Yep.
Where there's a lot of people that I know that just sell, and that's how you don't build real brand value long term. And
that's how people start hitting ignore
exactly. So for me, I would say the podcast is main platform.
And you're just crushing your personal brand. That's the thing that so. I remember I was reading, and one of my buddies used to tell me that the only thing more powerful than money is fame, right? Because I've told people, and I don't mean fame, the thing I'm famous, right? I just mean the reputation, the credibility. If you have it good, Warren Buffett says you can it takes 20 years to build your reputation and 5 minutes to crush it.
Absolutely.
And the cool thing is, an analogy I always tell people, they're dude, okay, look, a guy can roll up that's a billionaire that nobody knows and get stopped at the front door and be who is this
Totally.
guy? MC Hammer can roll up. Think about it, the dope, most worn out, whatever, broke as a joke, probably lives with his parents again. But that dude could roll up to any club, probably in the United States, as MC Hammer, and hopefully someone will recognize him as MC Hammer, and they're gonna be oh shit, this dude put out great music. They'll let him right past a billionaire. You know what I mean? And so it comes down to reputation, what you've done, how you've given. So that's one of the things I respect. I'm trying to do that, and again, I got that under control, but I want to just change people, influence people, and again, I'm just curious.
Yep.
How? So what do you do? I know you and I sit down and we talk about strategy. How do you help people? First of all, you've done it. So what is your main focus when you work with people?
Yeah, so I would say the last 8 months I've been doing a lot with TikTok. So I've been working with the TikTok corporate team for, like I said, 8 months or so, and overall, what I'll do with these clients is one of three things. Number one, lay out their personal brand strategy on TikTok, meaning, okay, you have a brand image, whether that's on YouTube or on Instagram. How do we portray this on TikTok in an authentic way with the platform and actually create content for TikTok? Because TikTok is so unique, and it's one of those things where I always look at it okay, if you could be on Instagram, 10 years ago before it became Instagram, where everyone needs to be to have a personal brand, would you want to do it? The answer is yes. So I know so many high-level CEOs and executives where they're crushing it on every other social platform, but their daughters are on TikTok. I'm what is this, right? Yeah. So I've had the honor to, go back to a lot of the people I've interviewed, and I work with, between 30 and 50 clients when it comes to laying out strategy, doing consulting calls, getting their domain names on TikTok, and helping them best position themselves to maximize the platform for what it is right now. Because the truth is, and Gary Vee says this, it could be the biggest thing, or it could be the TikTok bubble pops, and it's, then it's just something that kids use forever. But as of right now, the way they're doing different brand deals with the NFL and all these major celebrities, with the Kardashians, and how they're just driving so much traffic, there's power in it. And it's one of those things where with Instagram reach just dying every single day, TikTok is so attractive, especially when they add link in bios, and they already have that for some users, but the swipe ups and how they can really, Gary Vee said it best, TikTok can do what Instagram did to Snapchat if they're careful about it. They could add TikTok daily stories, right? They could have a static feed if they want to, but they're really doubling down on what's working, which is that 15-second micro content, dancing, sound-oriented type videos. And I've been doing that for the last 8 months when it comes to building a team and really managing a lot of clients there. And then something that we can't touch on too much yet, but building out this new podcast software that I'm stoked about, because for me, I looked at the podcast industry, and I've been really doing a lot of research of studying a platform like Anchor, right? They got acquired by Spotify. There's different podcast networks that are getting acquired every single day because these big companies are looking to build their quote unquote podcast artillery, right? So for me, I want to build this platform which is going to be connecting podcasters with guests and advertisers, and that's what I'm really dumping a lot of my time and energy and resources into. And yeah, that's more so. I'm excited for it to come out, and you'll be the first of many to be on it. It's super dope.
I'm excited. It's funny that you said that TikTok, because I know that like if I look back at social media, I've been around for a while since MySpace. Dude.
Yep.
I remember MySpace was popping, and then Facebook came out, and everyone was like, no, it was young people on Facebook. And I remember I was like, Facebook, that's dumb. It's all about MySpace.
Yeah.
And I held on. So last minute, then I jumped on Facebook, and it was at that point, it was like kind of too late. I was drowning, or I was like a big small fish in a big pond. And then I was on Facebook, went all on Facebook, and then IG came out. And I'm like, no, that's a kid. It's like, I'm not making the transfer. Got in again. It was too late. Now I'm trying to build that up. And now all of a sudden, it's like TikTok, and I'm like fighting myself because I know, and you and I have conversations, I'm like, damn it, dude. Now I'm like just going all in on IG, starting to get a name, starting to get my thing going, and now there's TikTok, and I remember my conversations with myself every single time the platform came out. I'm like, shit. One thing I do notice though is what happens, like you were saying with the bios and stuff, is they start making adjustments. It takes a few business people to come on and kind of make a statement, but then they'll start making adjustments to the app. Like I remember IG at first was kind of like a TikTok. It was more like kid-oriented almost.
Yeah.
And then they started making adjustments, and they started doing like longer clips, and they started doing this, and then big brands started coming on, and then it kind of
turns like a commerce platform.
Yes. And then I feel like at some point TikTok, because right now you're right, man. I go on, I'm still trying to figure it out. You have me doing a few different strategies to find my place, and obviously it's not there yet. I'm waiting for it, but like I know at some point someone big business like a Coca-Cola or something is going to turn it into something, and there'll be that side of it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
That'll start kind of pushing the business side of it. So I'm waiting to see. You know what I mean? I drop videos, and
I think that's the most important part though, is just like being on there and being open to it, because it's one of those things where on TikTok you could have 30 videos go out and you don't grow any, but then you have your 31st and it gets 100,000 views because like the algorithm is just so great when it comes to virality. So I mean, I think that's the most important thing though, just like having the open mind to be on there is what separates people that are going to be, building quality brands, and obviously having the strategy and laying it out, but it's just being on there because you start to understand, especially how like this younger demographic is communicating on the platform. I think that's the most important part, because what influencers are doing on Instagram of like, traveling and taking pictures with brands, like the brands had to catch up and learn how to speak that language. And now there's like a strategy of influencer marketing, and how Fashion Nova works with all the influencers, and their influencer marketing branch is a huge division in their company. Same thing with TikTok. It's like learn the language so that you don't have to go back in 2, 3, 5 years and be like, oh, wow, I am completely unaware of how this all works. Yep. Now let me try to catch up, when you could have just, understood the platform, understand how it works, put out a piece of content here and there, and just know it so that you're not blinded by something that has so much power or potential. Yeah, and it's crazy when you start seeing it. Like, it just blows my mind when I see like Coca-Cola, and on the bottom it'll say follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and then someday it's going to be TikTok. You know what I mean? Something that you do really well, you've done really well with yourself, and I know that you do it with people as well, is personal branding. Right? What I just want to get into some like real meat and potatoes. Like, what are some things, if somebody wanted to start out? Obviously, you helped me. I was always been a backseat driver. Man. I was all about building my business. Dropped a couple posts here and there. What would you say if somebody that does want to start getting out there, building their personal brand and getting out there, what would be the first steps for them? Yeah, I mean, I would say before you talk strategy, it has to come to the way you look at it. Like a personal brand, I describe it as the most authentic perception of you online. And I think if you think about it like that, don't try to create a personal brand. You just need to live your truth online and focus how you can build it into your daily routine, right? So for example, for me, whether I'm doing Instagram stories or Snapchat stories, it's became a part of my daily routine and daily ritual, but I have a strategy, and I like to call it my 3 brand pillars. Like, what am I putting out? My 3 brand pillars are podcasting, traveling, and networking. Those are like the 3 things I like to showcase to position myself around on a 24/7 basis. But if anyone's looking to build a brand, you need to be all in on it, because personal branding is long-term, right? Like, you're forever going to be yourself. You can't buy and sell yourself, right? You can start a company, sell a company. You can't sell you, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you're committing to building a personal brand for putting out content on Instagram or starting a podcast, whether that's an interview show or just talking about a certain topic, you need to go all in on the long-term vision of it and figure out, okay, like where do you want this to lead to? I've always made sure I've been careful of not attaching myself to like a specific industry so much. I've attached to people because for me, I want to continuously associate myself with high-level people. That's more so how I want to build my brand. So I would say from a tactic perspective, look at the social media landscape. Where are you not spending time, right? Like if you're on your phone 6 hours a day, are you on Instagram? Are you scrolling? Are you putting out content? Are you messaging people? But most importantly, why do you want to be known? Why do you want to build a brand? Is it for fame? Is it strictly for your business? Is it to get new customers within the first 30 days? Like, why are you doing it? I think identifying that is the most important aspect of it all, because if you don't know that, then you're just going to be taking shots with your eyes closed, right? Like be very clear on where your target is and where you want to go, because if you don't set that target, you're going to waste a lot of time and potentially money if you start investing into your brand with no clear end goal.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that, like you're saying, identify first of all the end and the why, because one thing that's really hard is being authentic. We had this conversation, and it's funny because, you know, and that's another thing. If you're going to go strictly business and your customer expects a certain person versus like, and that's where the craziest part about it, man, is like, at first, a lot of my stuff was trying to be, and that's what I try to, with my agents, you know, they try to make these perfect, oh, my hair, this and that, or like this, did that sound right? And at first, I remember I was like that. I watch it. No, I don't want that. No, do this. Take that light off. And first of all, it stresses people out. It stresses me out.
Totally.
The minute I started, and you like confirmed it, the minute you start being yourself, really, and just not giving a fucks.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And just being like, fuck it, dude. Like, what up? Like, your bad angles. Like, people up there, like, that's not my good side. I'm like, dude, everyone has seen all your sides. And I started learning that, bro. I was like, first of all, you know, we keep referencing Gary Vee, but I listen to him a lot too, and he says, dude, nobody gives a fuck what you look like or what you think or what, they don't give a fuck. The minute they see you or whatever, it's gone within a few seconds. And I started thinking about that from my perspective. Like when I see somebody, if they had a booger in their nose, like I think it's laughable. The next day, I don't think about that. I don't think about how they look. I'm like, what did they say? How they make me feel? They say like, it's not what people say, or it's how they make you feel. But you'll literally, so now all of a sudden, and this is crazy, bro, like I put up these videos that are all like scripted, that were all nice and giving, I thought, crazy value and everything, and I get a few views. Then Patrick, the video homie, will catch me doing something, which I told him, I want you to start doing this. Just catch me when I'm going off on something in my in my environment. And when we'll post some shit like that, when we going like crazy and like telling stories and all, and we post that, it goes nuts. Like people are like, dude, great message. That was dope. That, even if I look at myself like, oh, I don't like that. But I'm like, dude, that's what gets it. Versus if you do perfect light, perfect script, perfect all that. Nobody likes it. I'm like, dude, that was like such a good video. It looked so good. I looked all good. And nothing, dude. But it's like almost people want to see the bad side. They want to see the real. They want to see a booger in your nose or a fucking, you know what I mean? Like, I get all stressed out about certain shit, and I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, that's what they want to see, though, because they could relate.
And that's the truth.
All right, so as far as personal branding, find your why. You want to find your why, and just say somebody wants to do it. What's the main difference between doing it personally? Like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it because, first of all, I feel like I have a good message to spread. I want to help people, you know what I mean? Eventually, we're going to do some classes where I'm going to show agents, because I've done it before. And I'm like, wait a minute, I can do this. And I see how it changes their lives. I need to scale this, because not too many people can do what I do and relate to people that are like come from the nothing space, you know what I mean? Like, or the hood. They don't think they have like the hope space. But like, I want to be able to, I told them up there, I was trying to push my agents to all do what I'm doing so they could build their brand, build their business. And nobody would do it. So I go, whoa. So then I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to lead the way. I'm going to show you guys what to do. And basically become the authority. Real estate was initially, but now it's just, I just want to meet cool people. That's why I started the podcast.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And build
100%.
So what would you say is maybe a difference between if someone wants to start it for strictly business or strictly just personal?
I mean, I would say there's definitely a difference, because, like, for example, I know, like, let's say YouTubers, right? They just want to build a brand and put out content because they want to get views, and obviously that will turn to money and sponsorships and all that sort of stuff. But I think the cool part about this, like, business, entrepreneur, social world is that everyone's doing it for a purpose, for, yes, the long-term business opportunity. But I would say, like, for example, this conversation, like, we understand that we sit down today, we do a podcast, maybe in 3, 6, 12 months, there's a deal or opportunity that we can work on something together, right? And we both understand that. So I would say the alternative is just doing it to, like, for example, there's a lot of people that are on social media just posting like about them, and it's not about others at all. This is about myself. This is about you. It's about the collective of the content, not about each other as an individual, right? So I think that's a clear difference, right? If someone's just posting about them, when there's no alternative message, then my buddy Charlie Rocket, he describes it as social media 2.0. There's the I am you theory, right? Where it's like LeBron James or Oprah, these people, these world-class leaders, if you can feel relatable in any sense of like, hey, I am you, and not like, hey, look at me, that's the difference. And that's how he describes it as social media 1.0 is like, hey, look at me, I'm great. Look at my picture I took. Look at me traveling. That's not a good strategy. Number 2 is the I am you theory, where it's, hey, I'm authentic. I'm relatable. You can see that I, woke up at 8:05 this morning, and I didn't say that I woke up at 4 a.m. and I'm trying to put on this facade of a perfect life, right? And I think that's the clear difference of, to your point of, doing it for a purpose and being clear and like having an authentic message, and doing it for other egotistical alternatives that just, make you feel great because you have people following you. Like, that's never a good strategy and alternative to that.
It causes stress, anxiety, all that, because you have to remember who you were and for all these different people.
Yeah.
And now it's getting easier, and it's easier to put out content when you do
totally.
it that way. It's funny because Jim Carrey, he that dude's a gangster. That dude, he pushes that big time. He's like, dude, I'm just like any of you. You know what I mean? And he goes, forever I was creating an avatar for myself that allowed me to make people laugh and be this other person. And he's like, and I'm glad that I had the success and made all the money and everything, but he's like, now it's back to just me and like nature and like the rudimentary shit. You know what I mean?
Totally.
He also says a cool thing that says like, I wish everyone could be rich and famous so they could see it's not all about
I
being
love
rich
that quote.
and famous.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, dude, then they could get back to their roots and realize it's all about. And I love that dude. You know what I mean? He's cool because he was funny as shit growing up in my childhood, but now he's like the realist. You know what I mean? Awesome. So, okay, so the business, the personal, if they had to start on one platform, what do you think the best platform to start for someone to start?
I would say the best platform to start just having content is for sure Instagram, because it's like the social business card, right? Like, hey, if you meet someone, like, what's their Instagram, right? Like, yes, TikTok is important to test with and to experiment with and to put out content. But if you're looking to build like a long-term brand, it's like having a quality Instagram profile is major key. But then also YouTube, because YouTube lives on forever, right? Like, you can look up on, YouTube how to tie your shoes, and there could be a video from 2005 that still is ranking, and the content lives on, and it's evergreen. Where on Instagram, you're not going down to someone's 13th post out of 1,000 to check it out, right? So it's like, you want to be everywhere, but I would recommend, if you're looking to connect with people, to build a brand, to put out content, to make it really simple, like, Instagram is still the place to be. But it's important to be omnipresent, but don't spread yourself thin and try to do everything and try to, be the best at everything. Like, for me, I'm on Instagram, I have my podcast, and those are like where I spend my time, but I'm everywhere else, but I just made sure I have a presence there. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Do you think Instagram's here for a long time?
100%.
So nothing's going to like, I always think about that because I'm going all in on my IG and I built it up. I want to get verified, do all these things because I feel like that is the place. YouTube's big for me too, for the real estate informational space. Like, it's good. I feel like YouTube's good for giving information. Like it's the second largest, I think, search engine compared to Google or something. So for me, we just started working on iLegends, Daps, then we started working on the on my YouTube, because I'm stepping back. I love this. Like, this is almost not even business for me. This is personal. This is like my fun. You know what I mean? It's like hanging out with someone that I want to meet and hang out. But as far as like the business, real estate, and then building up my seminars I want to do to teach other people to make money in real estate, I feel like YouTube for me, you know what I mean, is that. Now I can see, like, for TikTok, eventually you turned me on to some real estate people. I started looking up on how they're doing it. It's very interesting.
Totally.
The way they're doing it, and I'm going to start getting on that as well. I just feel like I'm always nervous because on IG, and I wonder if other people, I've invested so much time and money and just so much into it that I'm like, damn, why don't you just wake up and it's new MySpace? You know what I mean? It's just
Instagram will forever be a platform that will be important. But, like, for example, like, TikTok is the new kid on the block that people love. You know what I'm saying? So it's always going to be change and evolve, and that's important. That's why it's important to be adaptable to these different platforms. Like, even like something that I'm sure not many people know this platform, but Instagram has it's sort of like a TikTok. It's called Lasso. It's big in Mexico and South America. It's literally identical to TikTok in terms of like the UI, UX interface, how it works. It's called Lasso. No one really knows about it, but it's not a threat and no one really cares right now, right? Like people care about TikTok. So until people care, it doesn't matter, but it's always important to be aware of the different platforms that are out there. Like I just, I've been using Snapchat a lot more because I recently got verified on there and the organic reach is insane. But I didn't care about Snapchat when I wasn't, because it was just like for the 100 people that followed me back home and I would just stay in touch with them, right? But now I care because there's a purpose. So yeah, like, find a platform that you can be purposeful in, because if you don't have a purpose for it, there's no point of, utilizing
kind
it.
of your goal, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm like podcast. For me, I think it's IG, podcast, and probably YouTube are going to be my 3 power points, because I feel like obviously it fits everything. Facebook, it's funny because I feel like Facebook is all my older clients, which is crazy, you know what I mean? You max out at 5,000 friends, which kind of sucks, but it's funny because it's like my Facebook is for like the 50 and over crowd, and I sell real estate, so I want to get to them too, but my IG is like the people my age and under.
Yeah.
I'm 42 years old, so I'm kind of pushing that like later thing, but like under, so that's why it's hard for me sometimes to relate to the newer stuff on TikTok and stuff. All right, man, I don't want to keep you too long. I just want to know, I ask everyone that comes on the show, it's called There's a Difference. What do you think? You've obviously blown up and make a name for yourself. Your personal brand's off the charts, and you just keep, I've been following you now for a few months. I just shit gets more insane. You're bigger guests. You had Rick Ross on there, dude, which is like crazy. And Robert Greene. And before that, you've had Jordan. You have so many cool people. What do you think makes you different? Like, what do you think gives you that opportunity and
I love that.
allowed you to get there?
I love that question, by the way. It's interesting. I think what makes me different is my curiosity, like my genuinely curiosity in other people. Like, for example, we talk about interview, we talk about people. I wouldn't have been able to interview these great people because I wouldn't have had to reach out 12 times and had to unsend a message, send it back, go on their Instagram, look through who they're following, like 17 pictures, comment 4 times, reach out again. Like my strategy and the small itty bitty details that I do to getting every single guest. Like it's not easy to book Rick Ross. You have to follow him for 4 years or follow him for 4 years, engage with him, figure out who he likes. He likes Robert Greene, understand, okay, I want to actually be passionate about Robert Greene. So let me go read his book so that I can have a true understanding of who he is as a person, to go interview him, to set it up, to reschedule 14 times, to finally do it, and then to reach out to Rick Ross and boom, make it happen. So my point being, like, what makes me different is I'm always looking for, my buddy Alex Benayan says this, the third door, right? Like the third door in relationships. Like there's always another way to do something that isn't black or white, right? Like find the gray zone. That is like the sweet spot to getting things done, and anything from podcasting to relationships to closing clients. Like, but it's also just my willingness to not wait. Like, for example, I remember I was sophomore in high school, right? I'm someone that I have 2 older brothers. They both went to college. They dropped out. That wasn't their path. I'm over here. Okay. Long story short, senior year, I missed 65 days of school junior year. I was skipping school every other weekend, going to Los Angeles, going to events, completely like, I like to call it full sending it, right? Like I would book a flight and be like, hey mom, I booked a flight to LA. I'm going to completely not be in school Thursday, Friday, or Monday. I'm going. And it was like these arguments that would happen, but I was so determined and like focused on what I knew was right for me in my career long-term, where when I missed 85 days of school senior year and only had 3 classes, but still got good grades. I'm not saying just go drop out of school in any sense, but I was just so committed to the journey and the process, but I didn't want to wait. And I think that's what truly separates me, but also other people, was like, that was my purple cow. I was in high school. I didn't want to be in class. I started connecting with these people online, and I was like, I don't want to wait to go meet them. I don't want to wait to get experience. I don't want to wait to meet someone in 3 years when I could go to an event this Saturday and skip 3 days of school and be there and shake their hand and get to know them, so that we have 3 years of rapport in the next 2, 3, 4 years, right? So to simplify the answer, it's I didn't wait, and I've remained curious about people, and that's what's allowed me to build these type of relationships.
That's a really good answer, dude, because most people they won't follow their passion. They won't follow that interest and miss school because they're so to the system. You know what I mean? And then what happens, though, the problem is they graduate from high school and they're like, oh, what do I do now? They don't follow it. They lose that passion because they go take a job they didn't need to take just to pay the bills that they had to take, and they start forgetting about that. Like if you would have just stuck to your schools every day, and you're like, I want to go do something, you let it go, then all of a sudden you graduate one day, it's like, okay, buddy, pay your bills now.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
You know what I mean? What do you mean pay my bills? Now I can't. I want to go to LA though. You know what I'm saying? And I always tell people, dude, like I've been able to go full circle. I've been able to, like, I was doing these things back in the day, like not real estate, but businesses and stuff like that, man. Always curious about making my own money so I can do my own things and not depend on anybody. And luckily that I went, like you said, I did it. You know what I mean? I did it, and I wasn't the best student, but I was always doing stuff that was like fun and curious. And I started to go into like, I almost went to the FBI, which would have been terrible because I thought that was like the normal thing to do, and I would have been bored because I'm an entrepreneur by spirit. Now that's what they call it. Back then it's like I want to run a business. But it's dude, that I think that doing what you did is what every kid should do. They 100%. Should all like find what their passion before they have responsibility.
Absolutely.
Right? Like before they have to start paying bills and going to work, because that starts dimming off.
Totally. I understood that, and I think that's my self-awareness is I understood that time frame of like being in high school, and I had 2 older brothers and I was the youngest one. So I grew up as like an older, younger brother, where I understood that I needed to get ahead in my career, in my life, and in my experiences, so that when I come to the finish line of high school, I already have experience and knowledge and, things to build on. And it's not just a clear slate that I'm starting day one when you're supposed to have it figured out by then,
When you blended what you truly want to do, which is when we're kids, we truly do our passions, whether it's play the piano or play sports or fucking skate or ride bikes or whatever it is. We do our passion because we don't think about responsibility, but you were able to blend them both in time to where you didn't have to flip the switch off from being a kid to flipping on the switch of being responsible, right? And so you were able to blend them together, and then obviously eventually monetize your passion as a kid. That's what I feel at this office. Why do you think it's set up like this? I don't want to like come to like my hangout. Like when you're a kid, everyone goes and meets at someone's house and hangs out. That's why I want this. That's why I have a sauna. I have a bar here. Like I want everyone to come here and not feel like they're working. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel, man. And, and you obviously make a living off it, pay your bills, and you blend the two together, and you're just a kid forever. I mean, that's what I feel. I feel like I'm a kid forever now, and I'm just an adult with money. I'm a kid with money now, and I do what I want. Live what I want, have podcasts, and cool people come through. So. Awesome answer, man. Thank you so much for coming by, man.
Absolutely.
Everyone, where can they find you at?
Just on Instagram, just at CaseyAdams1, and then the podcast is Rise the Young. That's the 2 best places.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we're going to cross paths again.
Totally. Yep.